Welcome to this YouTube channel. And today we have on the podcast a bright, energetic professional, Keshav Jhunjhunwala, who's already aced his CA, has been working with ITC for the past 14 odd months and now joining IIM Ahmedabad PGP class of 2027. Welcome to the show, Keshav, and would request you to share authentic insights about your career journey so that this benefits the viewers of this channel. And I'm going to start with the basic icebreaker in terms of tell us about your entire journey of CA, All India rank 40, articleship from PwC, ITC, and now IIM Ahmedabad. What has been the magic at play here?
Thank you, sir, for having me here. So I did my undergraduation from St. Xavier's College, and like most people there, I started my CA journey from there. So I got good marks in my CA foundation and my CA inter, which helped me to get into PwC in its stat audit domain, where I majorly audited clients in the iron and steel industry and real estate sectors. So now, when I was in statutory audit, there was a constant, want to, understand the businesses better. While being in stat audit, we understand the financials of the clients. I was constantly intrigued by how the business decisions are taken and how the business is run. Which is why after completing 18 months, I took a transition into ITC, which helped me understand these intricacies better. Now, while I did my industrial training with ITC, I got absorbed after clearing CA, where I'm still continuing. Now, even in ITC, being a CA, you sort of get restricted into a more compliance and a finance sort of a role, and you don't really get that cross-functional experience. Which is why, I then decided that I want to do an MBA, which will, open up more avenues for me in the future.
Okay. So basically, if I were to say what is that big why that a stellar CA career, All India rank 40, manager position with ITC, and ITC pays through the nose in terms of a very good salary for a fresher. But why MBA now? So in terms of specifying what are the kind of limitations that you faced as a chartered accountant, although you worked in a top class company, traveled places, saw different functions, what was that big why MBA answer that you gave in your interviews as well?
And so, to answer that question, I'll tell you about my background. So, my father, my extended family, my mother side, everyone is a businessman through and through. I'm the first professional, if I was to say, in my so there was a constant want to understand businesses better and get into business someday. Which is why I took a general course like CA. But when I got into ITC, if you look at the papers that we are in, we do in CA. All the papers are more oriented towards compliance. If you see, there's tax, there's audit, there's company act, and so on. So, even in ITC, the role that I got was of a internal auditor. So, there was a constant want to, understand businesses better and, you know, be a part of those big decisions that are discussed in big boardrooms. Which is why when I looked around, what are the degrees that those people have who are part of those discussions, then I looked into an MBA and then I decided I want to pursue, gave my cat and luckily got.
So brings us to the third question. What has been your preparation strategy? You've been in a full-time job at a company like ITC. So from there, preparing for CAT, was that a very difficult thing to do? So what is the kind of study routine? So you wake up early in the morning and study, or you go home and then you study. So what are the kind of tips and techniques that one follows? It's very important for people who are into jobs, who aspire for MBAs, but feel that, this lack of preparation time acts as a hindrance.
So, I would like to give the entire credit of this to my CA journey. As part of a CA journey, we are required to study along with our articleship. So, even during my articleship, I try to give as many exams as possible. For example, every 6 months I had a FRM exam. Then I also cleared some levels of the CFA exam, which helped me understand and manage my time better, which is what I leveraged once I got into ITC. So the entire credit of this goes to the CA journey, which I actually teaches you these things.
So then, what did you find out? When did you find out time to study? How much did you study for CAT?
So my usual routine look like, I mean, I used to study for about 2-3 hours in the morning before going for my job, and then after coming back, I used to spend 2-3 hours, and the most of the bulk work was done during the weekends where we have more free time.
And you could do this even during travels because in internal audit, I would imagine that you would be traveling a lot. So then also during
So
your outstations also you're able to maintain your study routine. And this you continued for how long? Like 6 months, 1 year?
about 2 to 3 months. I mean, which is
Just
why I
studying.
want to. Yes, which is why I want to really emphasize on the strategy that one adopts while preparing for CAT. I mean, if you look at a uh, exam like CAT, the syllabus is not very tough. If we look at maths, maths is your simple class 10 maths. English is again nothing new, and logical reasoning, data interpretation again. C's are inherently very good at. So that is why you need to really take a focused approach as to for which section, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. So, for example, if I discuss my strategy, I started with giving mocks. So, I gave about 2-3 mocks. I understood that I'm inherently good at DLR. So, I did not focus on that as much. Now, for the other two sectionals, I mean, scoring in CAT is a function of two things: your number of attempts and your accuracy. So in maths, I mean, being a CA, maths can be divided into two things. One is arithmetic, one is geometry. Now, since we are a CA, so arithmetic comes naturally to us, and geometry was not a strong point. So again, I mean, to ace a exam like CAT, you don't need to attempt 100% of the questions. So approximately from 22 maths questions, there'll be around 12 arithmetic and 10 geometry. So I really focused on you know getting those 12 arithmetic questions right, which automatically gets you to a 98, 99 percentile in that section. And then if I talk about VARC, I mean, while constantly giving mocks, I really understood that this is a section where even if I increase my number of attempts, my accuracy doesn't go down. So I really, leverage for that.
And what is the critical role of mock CATs here in terms of writing those exams, analyzing them? So did you go for some sort of a professional coaching for this?
Again, I mean, given the time that I had, I didn't really have a time for a proper professional coaching, and there's enough and more content available on YouTube. So there'll be some spaces that one may
Which channels for that matter?
nothing specific comes to my mind. So for whichever subject I wanted content, I used to really search that. For example, what are the hacks around, let's say, APGP, or what are the cheat codes for triangle, let's say. So
Oh, okay. That's a very interesting. So you get the best content on that specific topic on the internet rather than going for one specific library as such.
yes, and for English, I've heard that there are some passages that come directly from A1 essays. So I used to really read them, maybe during lunch hours, maybe during traveling on flights. So that helped me prepare well.
The next question, you cracked the CAT, you landed in that interview process. How was that interview process? The highs, the lows? What are the kind of questions that they ask chartered accountants? How did you answer them? Were there any slippages which you were like, oh God, now I've just screwed it up, but still you were able to recover?
So the interview process is mainly divided into two parts, specifically for IIM Ahmedabad. The one is your AWT, which is the analytical writing test, where you are given a passage and you are supposed to weigh the pros and cons and then finally arrive at a decision. For example, the passage for me was, I mean, uh, keeping women's security in mind, should women be allowed uh, get out of a jail free pass for one murder. So you need to, give the pros of such a law being enacted, the cause, and then, arrive at a solution. So that's one part. The simple way to practice this is, I mean, as and when you write more and more passages, I think you get better at it. So practice is the key here. And for interview, the panelists are generally, I mean, really into why you want to pursue an MBA and what are you about. So I mean, they'll ask leading questions straight. I mean, straight up, they'll first ask you to introduce you, and from your introduction, they'll ask leading questions. For example, why did you do a CA? What did you learn in your articleship? Then why an MBA? And basis your answers, the next question will follow. So it's really important to, I mean, answer your questions, answer the questions in a way that the next question that the interview asks, you already know what's the next question going to be, and you have an answer for that. So this is basically called leading questions.
You kind
So
of
while
giving baits to the interviewer for the next
yeah,
question, which you are already well prepared for.
yes, so I mean to prepare for them, I used to really watch the interviews given by UPSC aspirants, which is there on
Yeah,
YouTube.
those are very good interviews. Absolutely. Professor Divya Kirti is the
Yes,
interviewer often in them. And then there's a lady, yeah, and then there's a professor from Delhi University who is there. So a lot of such interviews are there. Perfect. And so then coming to, some sort of a maths behind this, you are already an FRM graduate as well. So you are living a very stable corporate career. MBA as such is uncertain, but of course, since it's from IIM Ahmedabad, it is not that uncertain as well. But then there is a pros and cons in terms of the specific cost which is involved. IIM Ahmedabad charges a fee. There is a 2 year salary which is foregone. So what was your decision making process in terms of how would you convince a Marwadi father to tell that okay, I am now putting a break to my earning engine and going to study for 2 years and give me another 24 lakh rupees which I need to pay to the college.
right. I mean, so being from a Marwari household, like you very well put it, I did the math behind it on what my opportunity cost is going to be, and it was an exorbitant amount to say the least. But I mean, the reason why I did an MBA was, I mean, to put it easily, was because of FOMO. I don't want to be 50 years old and have a regret that why didn't I do an MBA? My career would have been different if I had one. So I didn't want to have that. And again, I mean, getting into ITC, having an all India rank, being a CA, it also allowed me and gave me the confidence that even if something goes wrong, I have something to fall back on. And I backed myself enough that in the long run, I think this cost, which seems a lot now, will be trivial after an MBA from an institute like IIM Ahmedabad.
Coming to the question on career vision, while it's too early because you've been just entering the course, but do you have some very specific post MBA goals in terms of industries to whom you want to pivot or you want to build on the finance background? For example, joining the Beta Club will be one aspiration of yours, which a lot of these chartered accountants want. So is it like, investment banking or management consulting or private equity, or are you there going with very open arms that, okay, I'm fine, I'll take things as they come?
I think as of now, I'm open to everything, but I'll try to leverage my CA degree in whatever best way I can.
Yeah, I think that's a better way. So, perfect. What would you tell current CAs or finance professionals who are considering a similar path? What would be your two lines of advice to them? That should they, for example, the cleared CA inter, then they should take the CAT and go for an MBA. Should they wait for CA to be getting completed, immediately going for an MBA, or take the risk along with the job, like you did, and you did it fantastically in 2 3 months. So what, and then the whole pros and cons of the entire decision as you see now.
Right. So for CA aspirants in general, what I'll advise is, I mean, the journey, the path that even I took is that you can give CAT, even along with your articleship after clearing CA inter, because CAT, unlike CA, does not have any cap to the number of attempts, or it does not, I mean, have any detrimental impact. So if you want to pursue an MBA, or maybe you have thought about it, there's no downside on maybe giving a CAT during your articleship, even if you're underprepared. It just gives you that idea of what to expect, what not to expect. For example, if I myself gave CAT around 2 years back, where I surprisingly scored quite well, and I had even converted IIM Lucknow then. But
Oh.
I had that vision that I only wanted to pursue an MBA from IIM ABC. That's why I took another attempt after clearing my C and ultimately got through. So
Hmm.
giving a CAT has no downside, even if you want, even if I mean, you are confused about an MBA. So give your CAT, then basis your conversion, you can decide on whether you want to join, not join, and then again you can weigh your pros and cons. And actually, MBA is also a great, I mean, tool for aspirants who after clearing CA inter were not able to clear CA final and got stuck in the CA loop. So it also has a good exit from that perspective.
That's right. One question is, since you were already like 1.5 years into WorkX, for another 1.5 years, you could have opted for a 1 year MBA from an ISB, gone abroad. So instead of that, why 2 years now at, again, since it's IIM Ahmedabad, of course, the decision can tilt very heavily in the favor of the 2 year MBA. But did the thought of the 1 year MBA also come into your mind at some point of time? Because that's the typical confusion that people have. For example, I opted for the 1 year MBA because I wanted to gain some more experience. So how would you evaluate that decision in terms of a FRM framework?
So I mean, it's a very pertinent question. I mean, even when this time I cleared IMA, I had a doubt whether I should defer or not. So I mean, when I asked a lot of my seniors who are now in IMA, I mean, what they told me is that if you wait, your opportunity cost will only gonna rise. And anyways, your the post MBA salary will be higher than your pre MBA salary. So there's no point in waiting. And if you look at the stats, the average, I mean, the age of an average person in IIM Ahmedabad is about 23. So, which also gives a indication that this is the right time to join. Now, had I taken a course like PGPX, I mean, the first thing is that the batch size is quite smaller than uh, the conventional PGP program that they have. So
Hmm.
again, the opportunity network also goes down. And then after, I think, 4 5 years, it's very difficult to switch industries once you have got into a specialization. So those were some of the things that came into my mind. And if I talk about ISB in specific, I mean, it's a perfectly good institute, but as of now, I was not eligible to apply for it, so didn't really thought much of it.
Yeah, because nowadays, the trend in MBA also is that it is not just India. So you see a lot of talented Indians now going to a Wharton, Pennsylvania, NCR, and then coming back to India and to play in the VC ecosystem, etc. So, and this is a very sharp departure from the earlier, let's say 15 years prior to where we are today. That time it was dominated by the Indian B schools. That has also been one major trend.
I mean, so for
Okay,
me, the deciding factor is,
yeah,
I mean, to pursue an MBA abroad, I mean, if I typically talk about it from an ROI point of view, you will have to at least work there for at least 4 to 5 years to even break even.
yeah.
And then there are uncertainties around the visa process, H1B, visa lottery, and your citizen status, etc. So I didn't want to take that part. I mean, in the long term, I always vision myself being in India. So I think that's why I chose Indian MBA.
My final question, there would be a youngster 5 years younger than you, maybe in his class 11 and 12, maybe pursuing undergraduation, maybe pursuing CA or just completed CA, joined a job. what would be that one piece of advice which Keshav would give to them for a brighter career ahead?
I mean, so in hindsight, if I was to suggest a person in class 11, let's say, the golden advice would be please reach out to your seniors. I mean, the advice that they would give would be golden. I mean, when I was in 11, I didn't have the kind of exposure or the kind of people to reach out to. I mean, who would advise me as to what should be best for the career that I wanted to have. So please reach out to whoever you know who has done well. They'll be able to guide you, and please back yourself to get what you want to.
Hmm. Perfect. Very good. We wish you the very best, Keshav, for your journey at IIM Ahmedabad, and hope to see you come out with flying colors. Wish you the very best. Thanks for this coming on this podcast. Bye bye.
Thank you for having me, sir.